Off today, everybody. A very important topic in our island family here is fair housing. I'm very, very fortunate to have Ms. Maria Miller here from the Guam Association of Realtors because she is an expert on the subject, and I, Maria, am certainly not. So, Hafaday, and thank you for joining me today
Thank you very much.
Enlighten myself.
Thank you.
All right, as well as our viewers on this and everything. So, what are some, before we get into fair housing itself, what are some misconceptions about the nature of fair housing on the island, in your experience?
Well, a lot of people seem to think that, even if they have bad credit, we can't discriminate against them. So this fair housing doesn't mean including everybody, regardless of their credit. So fair housing is not going to, help you if you have bad credit. That's the biggest misconception, I believe. Okay,
and Governor Calvo has said many, many times since he took office so many years ago that, the Guamanian dream, a major component of that is home ownership.
Yes, definitely. And, I really, that's at my heart, is to make sure that, the Chamorro people do own their home. We were just talking with your cameraman. It's so important to go ahead and just take that plunge and see what you could afford. Everybody can't have their dream home to begin with, so sometimes you have to start smaller with a condo. There's no shame in that. The Bible says you can start small beginnings.
And that's a perfect sentiment to share on Good Friday, so we appreciate it. We just can't say it too loud because it's Good Friday.
Okay, we'll talk softly.
Okay, so what is the general word that you're trying to get at about fair housing?
Well, every April, the whole nation, as a community, comes, to celebrate the anniversary of the passing of the Fair Housing Act. It goes back to 1968. Shortly after Dr. Martin Luther King's assassination, and they passed the Fair Housing. It was set up to eliminate housing discrimination, create equal opportunity for everybody to own and to rent homes.
I didn't realize that the act actually went that far back, because there was a point in American history when city living was kind of like the trendy thing and people were moving away from the suburbs, like into big metropolitan communities.
I'm in my mid-70s or so I remember back in 1962, 64, because I processed mortgages for a lender, and you take the loan in there and they'd ask you what color, what gender, where are they from. They would do that, the loan officers, before they would approve a loan. So in 68 they passed this law, and you cannot discriminate. So the fair housing is part of the realtor's training. You can't pass your exam to be a realtor if you don't know your fair housing. And then we have continuing education about fair housing, and it's part of our ethics, and we have this big declaration that we all, say and make sure that all our agents live by, because it's a big deal.
And not
to
just
discriminate against.
Again, it is the American dream, the Guamanian dream, more locally and everything, of home ownership. But then having a home under your name and having a mortgage, that does help you in other ways, your own personal finances. It builds equity, and it is good for yourself. But
fair housing also applies to renting, and that's where we see it more than anywhere else. Sometimes you have to be careful how you advertise homes and what you say, even on the phone, because you can't discriminate for familial status or gender or national origin, all those things. So I haven't seen too much of it here or in Hawaii. I've lived, both places. The islands are awesome. You don't see discrimination as much. On the mainland, you see it a little bit more.
Now, with the housing market being what it is on Guam, and it goes from really, really booming to sometimes people say, well, you want to go back away from it for a few months and until it stabilizes. What is the nature of fair housing here when the market is really, really good, or when it's kind of weird? Do you see more applicants? Seeing as how you can't discriminate
I really
against
haven't
them.
seen too much complaints. If anybody does feel that they've been discriminated against, then you definitely, there's toll-free numbers you can call, and that's a really serious accusation you can bring against someone if you feel that they've been discriminated against.
And that kind of a violation of that can cost a realtor their license, I'm assuming.
Yes, it can.
Okay, that's a very cardinal sin, again, to playing on the religious theme.
And we now have a new Secretary of HUD, Dr. Ben Carson.
Sure. Yep.
So
former presidential candidate.
Yes. So I think it's going to be awesome, because he's looking to do a lot of different things, even though our president has cut the budget.
Okay. What's one thing that we can do more on Guam as we wrap up and everything to understand what rights we have as, you know, as citizens and like as we move towards home ownership?
Well, again, it's not only in home ownership, but as well as renting to anybody. Yeah, you just have to be that, regardless of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, and disability, that everyone has access to the same neighborhoods, regardless.
Well, that's a wonderful thing to have as Americans and Guamanians.
It is.
Well, Maria, we thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and happy Easter to you and your family.
God bless you.
All right, thank you very much. Please stay tuned, everybody. We are back right after this.